Hello and welcome. Today I'm sharing a new junk journal called In the Garden, and as you can see it has a sari silk ribbon closure. It has a fabric cover with repurposed packaging attached, the fabrics attached to the packaging. It has 4 signatures sewn in, and this is actually the very first fabric covered junk journal I made. Really the first junk journal I made, even though I had made other types of journals before. I made this one about 3 years ago. Sorry for my painty hands. It's dry, so I'm not getting anything on the journal. I made this about 3 years ago when I first started making junk journals, and I was going to keep it for myself because I love it. And I was recently going through my journals, and I have so many journals. I can't stop making them. I'll keep making them. So I decided it was time to give this one up and send it out into the world if anyone's interested in it. So I'm going to flip through it. It's very, very, very chunky, to warn you. If you are a person that likes to junk journal or likes to have those, what they call gator mouth journals that kind of come out like this because they get so full, that's what will happen with this one if you do work in it and put more things in it. So just to warn you, when I first started out, I thought I had to put all the papers in, put everything in. It has a lot of lace and ribbons and doilies and all kinds of things. Okay, so let's go through it. The inside is a very lightweight fabric, like a muslin, I think, something similar. Put a library pocket there. And this is scrapbook paper starting out each signature. And it just has a few little decorations here and there, not overly decorated, and a few pockets, which I'll show you. It has a lot of these papers that I made on watercolor paper. I made these with ink sprays and leaves. And I have tried to duplicate this effect without success. So I wish I could do it again. Maybe I have to try on watercolor paper. I actually haven't tried it on watercolor paper, but that's what these are. And I used a lot of these very heavy sort of watercolor paper. It's probably 140-pound watercolor. Okay. Then I also have a lot of coffee dyed papers, and I did a lot of stamping. All kinds of book pages, all kinds of papers, because as I said, I thought I had to put in all the papers when I was starting out. Dictionary page, I just put everything in here. Map paper. This is made with leaves and the ink sprays. I mean, isn't that beautiful? I don't know how I did that. I really don't. I doubt I could do it again. And more dictionary paper. Want more watercolor. This is regular copy paper that I coffee dyed. A copy of an old letter. That's a copy that I aged, made it look aged. And this is an actual old prescription that I just clipped on there. More dictionary paper. And there's a lot of coffee dyed paper in here. I used to coffee dye when I first started, but now I use tea. And stamping. So I'll try to point out it has a few little charms also. It's the button charm. And more watercolor paper. A little tuck spot there, a pocket, I mean. More. This is beautiful old lace ribbon. I can't remember what the name of this is, but it's nice. Anybody who knows about this stuff will recognize it, I'm sure. These papers that I used ink sprays and leaves on also have a little bit of a shimmer. I don't know if you can see that because I use gold sprays too, but there was like a little shine in my grunginess. So I use gel prints. That's what this is. Sort of like a rice paper sort of thing, but I don't think it's rice paper. More coffee dyed papers and gel print that I attached to a coffee dyed paper. More of that beautiful watercolor paper, stamping, another gel print I sewed onto coffee dyed paper. There's another one of those gorgeous leaf prints on the watercolor paper. And then these are just mainly watercolor. I'm not going to go through all of them. And a little bee charm. Look at this one. This is from a caladium plant that I have in my yard. I have lots of them in my yard. More gel print. And more of that paper. Not all the leaves came out that clear. It's still beautiful in my opinion. Another gel print. And this is made on watercolor paper with a, it's like a texture plate that I have that makes the design. And coffee dyeing and stamping, and gel printing, and the leaf and ink spray. Just a little pocket with a little tag. And this is the second signature. Is this the second or third? This is the third. Can't keep track. And this is a beautiful gold leaf shape that I sewed. I almost broke it. So it's fine. I sewed on here. I thought it came out really nice. And some marbling that I did a long time ago. I also attached it. This is very thin paper to some graph paper, coffee dye. I coffee dyed everything. And practically in here. Some more of that ink spray with a texture plate, I think. And more, I have fabrics and ribbons sewn on here, some vintage music, more ink sprays. Some of the pages I I burned the edges, which I think is a cool effect. See, I tried everything in this book. And more kind of grungy paper that I sewed together. And more of that. This is the watercolor paper. And more watercolor paper. Lots of watercolor paper. Look how pretty that turned out. I hope that comes through on the camera. Just a little button charm. And more coffee dyed papers and watercolor. Little pocket there. A little card. This is not a tuck or anything. It's just a bingo card that I sewed on there. More of that beautiful watercolor paper. This is a beautiful old doily, and I sewed some coffee paper onto the back of it. This is made with a process called cyanotype, cyanotype, cyanotype or cyanotype, one of those. And it's made with some chemicals, and then you put it out in the sun. I used a plant for this one. The sun turns the chemicals blue, but where the sun doesn't come through the object that you put down on your paper, it leaves the imprint. So it's a really cool effect, and I love trying that too, doing that. And this is, I believe, the second page of that old letter, a copy of it that I included in the other signature. Some more watercolor paper, gel prints, more watercolor, lots of coffee dyed papers. Oh, there's a little pocket with a card. And the other side of that doily. I love that stained doily. And more of the watercolor paper. I have a big old pocket with a big old tag in it here. And a little tag here. I put a book page from one of my bird books. And this is made from a little handkerchief. So that's the end of that. I hope you like it. It's a very thick and heavy journal. If you like that kind of journal. I'm going to list it in my Etsy shop. So when you watch this video, it will be there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.